that going out to everybody. Oh, hi, everybody.
Hey, hey everyone.
All right, you know what? Before we put I'm just going to hit the countdown. No, we're just going to hit the...
Can you imagine that clip? You would be in so much trouble. And now
I don't know what you're talking about.
What clip?
Welcome in. It is our April Fools. We're a bunch of April Fools tonight. I had to hit that countdown before it got foolish too much in here. My name is James O'Hagan. I am the Director of Digital and Virtual Learning for the Racine Unified School District and host of the Academy of Esports podcast. And to my right is...
I'm Carrie. I am the Communication Specialist for Liminal Esports and Snowbird Studios.
And right over here we have...
Hi everyone, I'm Bradford Harris. I am the I got a notification for something. Sorry. I am the coordinator of digital innovation in Houston, Texas, NASEF Scholastic Fellow, and director of learning for TechSF.
And right down here we have
my name is Angelique Giannis. I'm an English teacher in San Diego, California, a NASEF Scholastic Mentor, and I run our wonderful esports program that is still virtual. But I'm excited about it because it's going well virtually.
But aren't you guys back this week?
We are back. I have survived my first week back with children, hybrid. My voice is struggling because my teacher voice. And my teacher voice has been on rest for a year, so like that plus the mask and like yelling through the mask it's rough. It's rough. But
okay. But and again, as you were saying before, I mean, have the freshmen completely been lost or the sophomores been completely lost?
Lost, yes. I printed out like a stack of campus maps and I've just been like handing them out because they're just like, Where's this? They're so cute though. Like, but they're just so excited. Like so excited to be there.
How is your school site doing with social distancing? Because my son's site is failing hard.
Like as far as the kids, like on break and stuff? From what I've seen, so they have like lots of people monitoring and they put a bunch of like new tables out and stuff, and they only said like 2 people to a table, so they're like monitoring that on breaks and all that. The kids, from what I've observed, they've been doing really well. We only have it's like 50% every other day, but I think it's way less than that. My third period today I had 3 kids.
Oh wow.
Well, they must have all been at the Padres game because I watched some of that today, and wow, I don't think social distancing was happening very much at the Padres game.
Oh, I haven't seen it. You know, I have season tickets.
Do you really? For the Padres?
I do. Well, I live right by it. I can walk there.
Check you out, Moneybags.
I figured since I'm here, I must get it. You know, I'm right there.
I'm coming to visit you because I love baseball, so yeah, I will come visit.
I got some tickets for you. They're a hot commodity right now because you can't buy them unless you have season tickets. So
you can thank the Chicago White Sox for giving you Fernando Tatis. So there you go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad we could do that for you.
Yes.
All right. It is. Let's see. We made it to April too. I mean, my gosh, it's as I was telling Carrie, she said it is a little warm where she is. And I think we were going through the California seasons, which is like you go from winter to summer, and then there's spring to electric boogaloo, and then there's Summer 2, and then there's Hell, and then there's what do we say, Pea Soup or something?
There's Pea Soup falls between Summer 1 and Spring. So we're in Summer 1 now, then we will hit Pea Soup, then we'll go into Spring, and then we'll go into second summer, and then we have Hell, and then we have third summer, and then we have some years it's winter, and some years it's just spring again.
I was gonna say we have one day of cold.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah.
A sprinkle of rain.
Winter's short. Look, you blinked. It's gone. Okay, great.
Well, I am through 2 weeks of the cup, the race to the cups for our League of Legends Invitational.
How's that going?
It's getting better. I have to applaud the UGC crowd. Matt Jackson and Jeremy Parker. I think it's Parker. I think if I said that right. I think it's Parker. Have been very responsive to all of our issues that we've been having, and again, trying to change up formats on an every other week basis, I think has thrown them for a little bit of a loop. Running a tournament of any kind when you're not trying to use just Google Docs can be. It's supposed to be easy. It's not. I'll say this: it's not as easy as it's all cracked up to be. It does take some support. It does take some help to get it done.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, but I will say this: I would still do this over and over again because the kids are enjoying it. The different formats are giving teams. I know that when we competed in full seasons in the past, this year, for example, in this last second cup, we called it the Beta Cup. There was a school that in the past had been a Division III school that really struggled. They came out of pool play 2-0, so they got to go on to the top 3 and play pool play there against some really high level teams. So at worst, they finished third in the cup, which in the past they'd always been finishing last in Division III. So
yeah,
it's giving these teams that I think, again, struggled in the past, small schools against big schools, it's giving them an opportunity to compete on a totally different way, which I just want to get the kids involved in something right now, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's good. There's a lot of tournament series running right now and or kicking off. There's quite a bit of stuff happening, which is nice to see that it's, there's still gameplay out there for schools, even because I know it's been hard.
Well, I talked with Kevin Fair this week. Kevin Fair runs a company on the south side of Chicago called I Play Games. So it was this week's episode of the Academy of Esports podcast promo. And but the great thing about Kevin is a couple things. Number one, he's been doing this for 12 years now. He's been putting together, road shows, and brings in all the TVs and everything else. And but the other thing he does too is now he's working with Chicago Park District to provide free tournaments to school to kids in the Chicago Park District. Oh. So, and working with titles again where the barrier to entry is very low. So we started with NBA 2K and doing an Xbox and a PlayStation division. So it's not trying to go right into this whole, we have to do PC Master Race games and AAA titles and all that stuff. He's really trying to keep the accessibility in there. And again, it being a minority-owned business and very prominent in the south side of Chicago, and all that stuff is so important because, again, the research doesn't say educators have to provide a positive interaction to push against the mental health crisis. It's a positive adult interaction, and Kevin is providing a positive adult interaction. Yep. And again, where African-American men are not really prominently shown in esports and gaming, he is providing that face for this. And his organization is all completely minority-owned and operated, so it's men and women. And I've seen them run their events live as well, and it's more like a casual setup. You can do a tournament, but they do casual. Yeah, and it's important for, again, kids to see that this is not just a rich 100% white guy thing.
Yeah, it's also great when you have programs that don't just sit heavily on PC, because a lot of the documentation that's come out, definitely indicates that there's implicit bias in PC gaming. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a wall to access. So the more programs that can offer console play on top of PC gaming, the wider you open up participation into your program. So it's huge. It's huge when programs do that. But yeah, the diversity I mean, that's huge. You think about how many times we email each other through, DMs, and it's like, oh my goodness, like, look, it's another panel and it's all white. It's nice when you show up and
look,
it's like,
I know I did the panel. I'm sorry, but it was a very unique panel.
Oh, busted.
Hey, Lex. Yeah. Well, you gave yourself a harder time for that than we did. We didn't have to beat you up for that. You had pretty much pre-achieved that. Yeah, before we rolled in. We just had to, it's like, yeah.
Well, I appreciate, but I think it's important too that when those moments do happen, I'm going to say it is important to recognize it as well. Even today, Janae Bennett posted something up to Lincoln about how Sephora did a campaign towards women of color and said something about hair being coarse. And to me, I would have, I look at it and go, okay, I didn't see it as a microaggression. She sees it as a microaggression. She says, there's other words you can use, curly, coily, and I'm thinking like, well, Janae just educated me today because I had no clue about using term. I mean, I have several students who I work with, African American children, who if somebody said to me, how would you describe the hair? Coarse, I don't. Well, see,
and
Bradford,
that's a sensitive topic. You can't talk about our hair that way. You just can't. You have to choose your words very carefully. And even when the Black Lives Matter movement was in full swing and
still
the makeup,
full swing.
Well, no, hard full swing when it came out and the makeup companies were out there. I forgot what it was, what makeup company did it because my daughter was telling me about it. I forget which one it was, but they were saying we stand by this, and my daughter was like, "Really? You hadn't really stand by them before."
Right.
So what's the issue? What's the issue now? And it was a makeup company that really didn't cater to her skin tone or people of color. So it's one of those things where like,
I mean, most don't.
Most don't, like, especially for her, like where she has to really research her skin tone, and so it's not about being sensitive. It's about just being respectful of of who you're talking to. And also, I was going to tag on the PC conversation with talking to my two teachers. They actually feel like at the very beginning it was very console based, but they feel like for our students that we serve, they need to thrive more on PC so they can be in that space more. We did talk about now there's nothing wrong with console in the beginning, but we as a group talked about the concerns of if we bring consoles into the district, it's okay, but that does require the constant updating, the constant firewall opening and all that stuff, which is not a problem, but they're seeing it as we need to really have our students into that space. And they are, the ones that I'm teaching, or not teaching, that I'm supporting, are really thriving and enjoying being in that space. But I'm also going to tack on that they're in computer science and STEM as well. So that's another layer. Not just it's not an esports conversation. It's a tech apps, technology, and STEM, computer science and STEM conversation that people of color also need to be in. Yeah,
and that's a hard one because computer science is still something that's offered in a remarkably limited number of schools across the United States. It's still an underrepresented class offering.
I'm trying to show I wanted to show the image here, but I'm failing
very
miserably.
Small.
I saw it. I was just looking at it. Ulta?
Yeah, so Janae says, well, Ulta Beauty, I don't like my hair being called coarse. It feels anti-black. Thick, coily, curly, these are okay. Coarse is synonymous with uncouth, rough, discourteous, and I don't feel this way about my hair. Let's change this narrative. And to to their benefit. They wrote back, "Thanks for the push. We appreciate it. We hear you. Changing the narrative is necessary." So, and again, I will say this: if it wasn't for esports, I wouldn't have been connected to Janae. I wouldn't have been educated. And I put on there, "Thank you for teaching me today," because it doesn't have to be always esports or gaming all the time. It can be. Hi, Sam. We love Sam.
Hi, Sam.
I think the other thing too is microaggressions are one of those things that if you're not part of the group that the microaggression is against, you might not see it until it's pointed out. Because again, it's outside of your sphere of thought. I mean, you can be really woke and still miss some. Even just with some words, not knowing the origin of them and just knowing the sort of common vernacular, you might not realize that something has a particular origin, or you might not think about it. I mean, it happens in the LGBTQ community. It happens in a lot of other communities where you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't sit right. But the people around you don't realize that, and you sort of have to say something to make it, kind of be known. But it's hard because I think that also takes a certain amount of comfort and trust, in a relationship to be able to have those conversations, be like, hey, that doesn't ring right from my point of view.
Well, see, being, looking into my Irish roots and my Irish history, it was really easy. We used to just have signs in this country that say Irish need not apply. And, or you'd have Princess Anne, who's the sister of the Queen, referring to us as Irish pigs. So, I mean, it was very easy, in this country to be called out. The microaggressions against the Irish were very macro, as many social groups are. I just, again, as you're saying, I did not recognize on the surface the microaggression because I don't see it. And as Bradford knows it because he's like, careful what you say right here, because you look at my head, I don't have to worry even about white people hair, let alone black people hair, other than my beard. So, and you want to call my beard coarse, you can, but boy, do I moisturize this thing. Ooh, boy. Anyway, I know we're not here to talk about, it's a hair chat tonight.
Hair chat.
Angelique can show off her bow.
My cheerleader bow today. Doing great.
Did you tie that on yourself?
No, it's a clip. I mean, yes, I tied it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm very worried about that.
Yeah.
So, the conversation with Kevin was great. And again, the tournament structure has been so very, it's good for me to learn because I talk about this stuff all the time and I try to say, it's not easy. It's not easy. Well, now I'm experiencing it and I can really say it's really not easy. And as much as it looks, as much as these companies will come to you and say, boy, we have a product to sell you to make your life so much easier, it takes work. So
Oh, bye, Bradford.
We lost Bradford.
And Bradford's gone.
And he's gone. Bye.
Well, that's the show. Bradford is tapped out.
Apparently,
we're done. So, as far as having anything else tonight, I mean, I'm all about baseball, so I don't know what you all are about.
Among Us dropped their new map.
They did.
Oh, I've heard that it's amazing.
Dropped.
It is very large.
Yep.
I'm very lost.
And we've got moving platforms, and we've got ladders.
There's ladders.
I haven't spent like a day reading up about it to write about it, but
I played it with my little sister last night.
I heard my teacher playing it with one of my online teachers playing it with the kids, and it was howling. I heard howling coming from down the hall.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, new content is great. There was a lot of different updates and small patches that I went today, sort of across the board, or this week. But yeah, I think that one's a fun one. I'm gonna struggle because I know it's a really big map.
It's real big.
But they also added new tasks, so now you can. He's back. Now you polish gems and take out trash. So there's new items as well, and they've put safety features in that. So I
really like that because you make an account now, and then you have like your own username. But if you don't have an account, you can't free chat. You have to use their like prescribed chat things. We have like 1 million, which I thought was cool, but. I'm not one to like really play Among Us in public lobbies. I'm usually playing with my friends or my students in my gaming club. But when my sister, who's 13, wants to play, it's usually like me and her, or me, her, and one friend. So like we'll join public lobbies. And I never realized, I mean, obviously, but I never realized how weird and creepy it was.
Yeah.
Until I started playing with her. And I swear, every single time we joined a game, the first thing when you're in like the lobby was, how old are you? Hey, what's up?
The AOL days.
Yeah, ASL. And they're like, what do you look like? Right. And I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, yeah, there's creepy people on here. And I'm like, so I'm glad that they took away that anonymity. Well, kind of took away the anonymity. But.
Well, I mean, the thing that I appreciate is, one, Inner Sloth is a very small team. So this is not a big game studio. This is a studio that I believe is even smaller than Snowbright. Like, it's a small studio. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of use, and they are actively responding to, you know, the concerns that are coming from the community. And that's what we want to see. You know, I think as developers, as educators, you know, we want to have those relationships with the studios, or seeing an existing problem and actually doing something about it. You know, there are definitely other games that are doing similar things. Seeing, you know, some other titles dropping new community guidelines. Like, there definitely feels like there might be a push towards better behavior. The question is whether that's enforced or not. You know, oftentimes community guidelines are dropped, but then the follow through is limited. You know, with Among Us, they're going through and looking at, you know, each of these claims, and it's a real person on the other side. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see what they do, because they do have an audience of children. And I think anytime you have an audience of children and you have public chat involved, obviously there's a door that opens to predators. We'd like to think they're not going to walk right through it, but we know from how Roblox was used that it absolutely invites people that are using it in a way that isn't safe for kids. So it's great that they're starting to play with safety features.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to welcome somebody who's watching tonight from the UK, outside of London. George Cork has checked in on LinkedIn. George, thank you I had a conversation with George today just before the show. We just did a brief. I love doing these like 15-minute little chats just to meet people from around the world. And George is he also teaches a university program in Canada. Was online. Obviously, he doesn't commute because that would be silly.
That would be a big commute. So it's bigger than a California commute right there.
Yeah, but it was very good to connect with somebody from across the pond, even if he is British. So that's okay. So, am I too sensitive about certain things? I have to know, because
like the English,
well, the full English breakfast. Yes, I'm very sensitive about that because it's trash. But the thing that I am really starting to see, and maybe this is something that we knew was going to happen eventually anyway, but alcohol companies are starting to partner up with esports organizations.
Yeah, I mean, alcohol companies, energy drinks, vaping, marijuana, they all unfortunately go hand in hand with esports.
But this week, Aaron, I want to put the post up, and I'll share it. Okay, so Aaron Ashley,
it was justified.
Aaron Ashley Simon posted this. It says, liquor brand partnerships will happen more frequently in esports as generational fandom continues to grow and change. Some people have had a problem, for example, with 100 Thieves' partnership with Truly Hard Seltzer and Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, because of how young some esports fans are. But what we forget is that esports fans are growing up. Shoot, I'm turning 29 in a few weeks. 29. And have several friends who are closer to 30 who are fans. Oh my gosh, I'm 45. This is silly. Now, I'm sure these brands are not going to market their liquor partnerships to kids, but many people's audiences are getting older and they have the ability to segment their content for different audiences. Plus, we are going to see more brands tap into the esports gaming audience, because since the audience is growing up, they have more control over their spending dollars. What are your thoughts? My thought is this right out the gate. We have factual data that shows this is how even though she says, now I'm sure these brands are not going to market their liquor partnerships to kids. They are.
Yeah, they're marketing to kids. And the other thing is, you got to keep in mind, like, you know, football has a long history of partnership with alcohol. Like that, I feel like that sort of goes hand in hand. You know, I remember growing up and seeing tons of alcohol commercials and branding during football games, and I was the kid. My parents were watching, but that was the content that I saw. When they're talking about to be able to like target particular audiences, I think they're missing the fact that kids are on Twitter, kids are on Twitch, they're watching these competitions on the same platform everybody else is, so that marketing that's happening is coming through to those 10, 12, 13-year-olds just as much as it is the 29 and 30-year-olds. And it's not like the esports market is aging out. Gaming is a passion of a younger generation. So yes, those original esports onboard, viewer demographics are getting older, but it's not like there's a vacuum behind them. It's getting filled behind them with equally, young individuals that are starting off watching their favorite teams, play in pro levels. So no, no.
I posted, like, here's what I was surprised by. So I put in there about how, the Preventative Medicine Journal of Preventative Medicine demonstrated way alcohol companies are normalizing alcohol consumption. I put stuff in here about the demographics that, 53% of football fans are over 35 versus 70-something% of esports fans are under 35. And I'm going to guess of that 73%, the vast majority are under the age of 21.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe, though, looking at the comments, how many people were like, yay! And I'm like, why am I the only one? And Bubba, tossed something in there. But even if you think about it, and people are like, I get mad when we have to make things good for kids. I'm sorry, but if you think even Major League Baseball years ago used to allow baseball players to chew smokeless tobacco, chewing tobacco, right? And baseball said, guess what? We're not going to allow that to happen anymore because it's influencing teenagers and little league kids to want to chew chewing tobacco before they even turn 18.
I mean, look at the energy drink market and how it's huge amongst teenagers. And part of why it's huge amongst teenagers is because the gamers that they watch are all sponsored by energy drink companies. And it's a big push. And the other thing I think that we have to look at is the American culture is very alcohol centric. As an adult who cannot consume alcohol, I can't tell you how frequently I receive extremely aggressive peer pressure from people that are close to me to try and get me to drink, because unless you have an addiction problem, obviously something's wrong with you if you don't actually consume alcohol, because why would you not drink? Like I have medical issues, which mean that I can't, unless you want me to just immediately start vomiting all over everything. Which
well,
is just
you want to
fun,
talk irony. I have two family members, my grandfather and my aunt. On the same side, my dad's sister and my grandfather on my dad's side. My grandfather sold liquor as it was like his business. He sold in Harlem jazz clubs, right? Great place to put an Irish guy. Actually, he did really well in the Harlem jazz clubs. But I'll tell you this, guy didn't take a drink until he was 55.
Yeah.
My aunt is like, she's like the mafia on Long Island when it comes to booze sales. She's retired now. But, just because it's, when you see just how this stuff, when you get into it and you see how this stuff is actually marketed, people are putting in here, you put candy cigarettes.
Yeah.
You can't get candy cigarettes anymore. I remember you know what I remember? You put Big Chew gum. I remember the Boss Hogg bubblegum cigar.
Yeah.
Anybody remember Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard? They had a Boss Hogg bubblegum cigar. I remember getting at a party and I'd be walking around like this. Just normalizing the stuff out of it.
Oh, busted!
You're the one that did it.
This show is now explicit.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, I'm seeing Sam in chat, and she's saying, like, it's when you blur the lines and try and be family friendly and then take these adult focused sponsorships. And, like, you can say, like, oh, I'm not marketing to kids, or, like, whatever. But you're doing your Friday night, Saturday night streams with your friends, and you're drinking Trulies, or you're drinking White Claws, or whatever and then you're getting drunk on stream, and then the kids who are watching your stream, because they're up on Friday, Saturday night watching your stream, they're seeing you guys have fun, and then they're like, oh, well, maybe, right? So, like, you're inadvertently marketing to them.
Yep. it's the sheer amount of people that vape live on stream. There's a ton of people that do, and and they don't all have their settings set to 18 plus. You know, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like, but it's not. Like you've got to be aware of what you're marketing.
And what is 18 plus? You click okay.
Oh yeah, it's not like that's
right.
Kids. No,
right.
No, that doesn't stop kids. Oh yeah.
So
but no, it's
Yeah, I was gonna say it's still a larger conversation. It's a conversation I had this week with my director, not specifically about this. It's still that conversation of, you know, yes, gaming and esports has been out for a long time, but it's still a young industry.
Yeah.
And there is not really a big organization that says, here are what my director friend calls protocols and nomenclatures of, this is how we're going to align what esports is. So everything is thrown into a pile till something really, really traumatic happens. And you know, I'm known for making things happen. Something traumatic, extreme in this industry happens to say, hold on, back up. Now we need a strong organization, commercial wise, education wise. We need a strand to say what we can and can't do. Right now, really, we don't have that. So everything is up for grab. Yes, we have the NASEFs, HSELs, and we have college stuff and all that stuff. But like I told my supervisor, it's all over the place. And I don't say all over the place in a bad way. Everybody's just trying to get their piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. And so now it's, you know, why not add liquor into it? The only thing that now watch, I say this and it's going to happen. The only thing that we haven't tried is porn. Now watch, when I say that, it's going to happen. But I mean,
the crossover's already happening with that.
It is. So I mean, there is no where is the rule book. When I first got into this, somebody was asking me, where's the rule book? Well, hold on. Let me call Carrie and James. Is there a rule book?
Is there a rule book?
I mean, it's not there. I mean, I literally can go to the next school across the street, and it's different from the next school. It's different from the state. It's different from industry to industry. It's all different. So that's why we have this issue. And then there goes the toxicity right there.
Yeah.
So
the other issue that I think exists, but that a lot of people don't always want to talk about, is the anti-minor sort of viewpoint that exists within gaming anyways.
Oh yeah, I couldn't shocked at how many people were saying that stuff. Go.
You've got a large demographic of gamers that hate children. And don't want them in the gaming space to begin with. So when you talk about protecting the gaming space or creating a gaming space that is safe for kids, the general concern is like, well, if this pushes them out, that's perfect. We don't want them here. And that, I think, is a huge indicator of what's going on as well, because you've got one, an age group that's younger adult that maybe doesn't have children yet, or doesn't have children that are old enough to be participating in games the same that they do. You've got a lot of people that are really possessive of their industry and their hobby, and they're essentially trying to gatekeep the next generation from being part of it. I have had so many conversations with fellow gamers, even non-competitive gamers, about, chilling out and being supportive of children in the space, and, you can't get it. Like they don't want to give an inch. I mean, we're talking about microaggressions earlier. Calling a kid a squeaker, sorry people, but that's an ageist microaggression, and it's one you hear all the time.
That's a topic I never thought of that. I need more education on that. It never dawned on me on that, because I've played games ever since I could pick up a controller. So I never thought about it that way. I just knew obviously the toxicity of people of color and women and so on and so forth. But I never thought about the age factor.
Wild.
I never thought about that. Now I need some education and I need some professional development on that. I never thought about that.
You know, and Carrie, you bring up such an awesome point because in that post, you go look in that post that I gave.
It's nasty.
It's in there.
Yep, it is.
And it goes the other way too. You know, it goes into this 65 and older boomer. You know, the boomer crowd. It is so. God, there is so much more in that post than I think I even realized. Now that I look at it again, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that again because
I mean, it's a hard one. Like, we talk about gaming, and as educators, I think we come from a different viewpoint. Hopefully, we come from a viewpoint of trying to open doors and create access into the space for everybody. But that's not what the majority of the gaming culture reflects. The gaming culture as a whole is. It's still very male, even though I know the numbers are switching and changing. There's still a lot of people that are going to sit there and tell you that mobile gaming, where still a lot of the female numbers come from, does not qualify as gaming. That's still an argument. Yeah, that's an argument that I see daily. If you're over 30, you can get a lot of heat for being a gamer. I know I've taken a lot when my age has come up. So you've got gender, age, and then the kids get massacred. And it's not until I think you hit older players. Like, when I run into older players, they're excited to know that I played since I was a kid. They're excited to know that at my age I'm still playing. They're excited that my dad, who's in his 70s, plays with me and streams. But you don't always see that from, like, there's this age range where that's missing. And it's not until you get sort of into the older gamers that you start seeing more of that openness. And unfortunately, that's not the market that's driving the industry.
I just find that so crazy, and because for people like me who have had a console ever since a console has been thought of in my house, Atari from portable to now, I have a console in every single room.
Yeah, and
I can talk about it, and kids are wowed by that. Now I can't be in the space because I'm old.
Yeah,
that is too young, or too young.
Streaming is hard. I had several friends that started streaming around the same time I did. All of us were women. I am one of the few that still streams because the pressure to be young and hot was just, overpowering, and you would have people come in and literally troll you for, being female and over 30. It was hard. The amount of community management that went into, and brand building that went into creating a safe space is exhausting.
Yeah. So is it because you got to be young and have beauty? Is that what it is really? Or is it just, you just got to be young?
Well, I mean, when you're dealing with female streamers, there's
I would say, like, you have to be young and flirty.
I'm just going to sit back and listen to this one. I'm going to stay out of this.
I gotta know. I mean, I'm not talking about just for women. I'm talking about for the dudes too.
Well, for the dudes, you can be a 13-year-old guy, never turn on your face cam, and have a huge following and be good. I mean, you could be bad and still have a huge following and not have a cam. As a girl, it's harder to succeed without a cam. Usually you need your cam. And then if you're not thin and cute and young, you have a really hard time maintaining your space. You need a really strong crew of moderators around you. You've got to be very careful with your social media presence. You've got to build a community that's there truly for you. And that takes time. And a lot of people don't stay around for it or just don't have the thick skin to take, the crap that's going to come to you. But it's a hard one because there's this very fine line that girls have to walk where you are sexy enough to keep the attention or even get the attention in the first place, because again, girls aren't real gamers. So when people drop into your streams, generally they're not there to watch you play. Unfortunately, I spent a couple weeks when I first started streaming, and I do it periodically, where I just popped into women's streams to see who was in the chat and what their content was and what the relationships were. And for most of the young streamers, their viewer group were young men or middle-aged men, and they were clearly there for the flirtatiousness and the imagery that they were getting from the female gamer. That's what she was selling. That's what she was marketing, and it works. But it's hard because then, you still get the whole gamer girl or cam girl sort of reputation. But it's harder, like, to find the women that are successful without cams takes a lot more work. I still see a lot of flirtation in that, or a lot of abuse that they take from the men that they stream with. And their communities, like, they almost become a punching bag. To find the women that dress like me, that wear t-shirts and stream, that have decent follower base, a lot of those are going to be women. A lot of them are going to be LGBTQ communities, or they'll use an LGBTQ tag, and sort of creates a safer space. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Wow.
So I mean, what Danielle said, to anything.
Yeah, because like for the men, so for the men, if they reach, like, let's say they're 70, but they're like really good gamers, because that's going to end up happening. Are we considered just a novelty? Like, if, like,
older,
you know what I mean?
No, because
I'm not saying that as an argument. This is really intriguing to me,
but
because I never thought about it.
I think it's interesting. Like, if you go to the top pages, you'll see middle-aged, medium weight, hairy dudes streaming to 1,000 or more people, and that's fairly normal. Like, these aren't what society would say are really attractive men, but they're really successful. But then you take the flip side and you look at who are the really successful female streamers, and a lot of them have to fit the beauty norms in order to be successful. That speaks volumes. Unfortunately, it's also, I mean, you see it in Hollywood. You see male actors that are allowed to age gracefully and not have a pyeloplastic surgery, but then you look at the female counterparts that are 10 years younger than them, and they're already, so heavily worked on because that's what's expected. It's the double standard that exists. It exists in gaming. It's I think much more in your face in gaming.
It is.
Angelique shared something. I'm not going to put the link that she shared.
Don't put it. Yeah.
But I am. You know what I am going to put? I'm going to put the tweet up on here, because I think because this is only from a couple of days ago, even.
Yeah, I saw it. It popped up on my feed, and I was like, "Oh my!"
All right, here we go.
Yikes.
Ready for this?
There's some profanity.
Went on Twitch and seriously got confused as to.
Yeah.
Let's correct the grammar. As to what app I was actually on. What in the actual F happened to Twitch? I really want to know. And this is hot tub. Like hot tub and stripper poles. I guess I prefer to create genuine friendships in a community based solely off of personality, not by flaunting my assets and getting this bag. I don't care about donos, but if I do, it's to better my content for my community or help out a friend. In my honest opinion, that's what streaming should be. Because if you click on some of these, oh goodness.
It's been a wild week for women on Twitter. This is just the beginning of all the stuff that has happened.
But am I slut shaming by calling this out?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So what do we do?
But I mean, that's the hard part. Is like, should women have the right to use their bodies in a way that they want? Absolutely. And does that include making money off of it? Well, yeah, it absolutely 100% does. And to tie into that, like, they wouldn't be making money off of it if there wasn't a market. So you've got all of these men that are hating on these women. Who's consuming the content? Who's paying their way through university? It's the guys, like, that are there for the content, that are investing in the OnlyFans, that are doing all the donos. There's a need. There's a service that is being asked for. They're filling it. I think where I have a hard time is seeing girls grow up in a way where they think that in order to be successful, this is the road they have to take. Are there going to be women that are like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I love my body. I don't mind being, sexualized. Like, I'm really comfortable with this. For me, this is empowering. Yes, there are women that 100% are going to feel that way, and they should have every right to be able to do this. But to take little girls and basically send them the message that if you want to succeed on this platform, this is what's going to be the way to do it. That sucks.
And that's what I'm like circling back to what we were saying. Like, you can put this is an 18+ stream, but what do you have to do? You just need to click OK.
Yeah.
And if you're, again, going back to our conversation a few weeks back about the what we recorded for the girls gym.
Which one?
Yeah.
Was it the girl gamer or the one with who wears the bodysuit?
No. When we recorded, we did the 45-minute chat for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for the girls who code.
Girls Who Code, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think about that. Like, we were talking about, well, how do you, if you're a young girl who wants to get into this space, like, what are you going to see? You're going to see that's what makes it, right? And that's where you're going to, in your insecure early teen years, like, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to make it. And that's, unfortunately, that is the fast way to make it on Twitch. Is it the right way? I don't know. And I totally agree with you, Carrie. Like, if you're comfortable with your body and that's what you want to do, do it, girl. Go get your bag. But like, I worry about the young kids because that's what you see.
The other issue that pops up is if you follow Dr. Cowart on Twitter, and if you don't, what are you doing with your life?
Right.
This whole month has been digging into the research behind parasocial relationships, and that is extremely relevant when you're dealing with content creators. So if you're not familiar with parasocial relationships, they're the one-sided relationships that exist between celebrity or public figure and you as the person who consumes their content. Now, we all grew up with parasocial relationships. You might have had a favorite actor or actress that you just loved, and like, you loved them. And if anything happened to them or you got news, you emotionally had a reaction. You felt about it. You felt like you know them. Social media and content creation has complicated the waters, because now you're in a situation where you have that relationship with the person, but they're also interacting with you. So it sort of strengthens this parasocial bond. Again, that's very one-sided. And so when you have this over-sexualization that gets thrown into the mix, like, parasocial relationships are challenging because they require the content creator or the artist to create very strong boundaries as to what's appropriate and not. Because while this person feels certain ways about you, you don't necessarily feel those ways back. You are a performer. You are creating content. And there are boundaries that people need to stop on. And we've all seen the posts where streamers are having people show up at their house. They're having things sent to them that are inappropriate. They're having stalking situations or getting doxxed. Now you take a situation where you're teaching young women that in order to become popular, you have to sort of get rid of those boundaries. You have to be flirtatious and accept advances and allow these people to cross these boundaries. You're creating a very unhealthy situation in regards to parasocial relationships, which was potentially putting young female content creators in a lot of danger. And
what do you see when you go into those? So any of those streams, right? What do you see when you go into their chat? Just verbal abuse. That is it.
Yep.
That is all you see. Like, I can't imagine what that does to you as a person, because those chats are, I have never popped into a stream, because I pop into them from time to time. I've never popped into a stream and seen a loving, supportive community. It is
except this stream.
Well, no, I mean, like I'm talking about
for those younger. It's really hard.
There's alinity, and the big streamers that are those controversial women streamers, whatever you want to call them, who are performing. I agree with you, Carrie. Like, that is their, that's their persona. I'm sure that's not who they are in real life. That's their persona online, and it's never a good community. It's always incredibly toxic, disrespectful, verbal abuse, literally.
And it's also we've seen what can happen in dynamics, especially when you've got sort of stalking components or people who feel like they've been led on. So if you're creating this norm where these young women are expected to flirt in order to earn their donations or earn their follows or earn their subscriptions. You're breaking down these boundaries that are really safety stoppers for women, and young girls desperately need to know how to set those boundaries and how to enforce those boundaries. So by encouraging them not to, we're essentially raising a generation that is going to have a hard time like setting those boundaries in potentially in their personal lives, which could put them in a lot of danger. Just even in the streaming situation, it can put them in a lot of danger. You have run the potential for a lot of people feeling like there's a connection that isn't there and then taking it way too far.
Well, you just took this father of 2 teenage girls and just scared the hell out of him.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, but it's amazing how we got to this conversation, and again, it's drawing a line from just an alcohol sponsorship of 100 Thieves, and this is the slippery slope. This is where we are. This is the path we have come through in this conversation. It wasn't a, hey, let's break now, let's talk about this. It was, we started with this, and the slippery slope is now here. It is that's what I find so fascinating about this. And I wanted to go back to one point where Bradford was kind of just shocked at the ageism against kids.
It's sad.
Well, the part of it that's so shocking to us, and I think why we don't see it readily, is because guess who we work with all day? We work with kids. Like we have been looking at this, and when did we get our PlayStations? When did we get our Xboxes? When did we get our PCs? When we were kids. When did we start playing video games? When we were kids. How the hell can anybody say, well, let's get the kids out of space? That's how we're here.
They don't want them in their game. They don't, and I don't get it, because but I see it, and I saw it heavily in the Sea of Thieves community. I see it in a lot of the other gaming communities that I participate in. Like the hostility is crazy, and then raising my son, like he's been gaming from a very early age, and he's been playing, advanced titles pretty much his whole life, and what he's experienced from people is substantial too, but we've had a lot of conversations, we've talked through a lot of stuff, so he's grown up being very aware of people and why they do the things they do. But it's huge. And so when you have things like, well, let's make this the environment safe, like, well, you get that backlash. It's the same way you get the backlash against, let's make the environment safer for women. You get like, well, you just need to get a thicker skin, or you need to get out. Or you need to adapt to the way we do things, you need to get out. But you see that again with, any kind of diversification in the space.
Well,
I tell you.
Go ahead, Bradford.
I'm gonna say, I tell you, I learned something really neat today, and it takes a lot to shock me, because I'm like, because y'all bring stuff down to the table, and I'm like, Then when you drop that age thing, I was blown away, and the reason why I'm blown away by this, because I'm writing up a plan for next year to talk about like certain topics, obviously toxicity and all that kind of stuff, but the shock value of ageism in this community, I think I need to get some research on that and bring that to my teachers and say, you know what? Your kids really aren't allowed to be in this space. Oh, why? Because it's bad? Because it's this? No, because at some point you age out.
I mean, you want to know why a lot of people don't like Fortnite? It's because it's a game that kids like.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Because a lot of people liked Fortnite before the kids found it.
But you know what? Now I just have this revelation too, because when I talk about Fortnite to my son, who is 17, he's like,
Yep.
Because it's scared. It's because the kids play. He would,
and Minecraft. Sam
yes,
said Minecraft.
And Minecraft, because he'll go back to Minecraft for nostalgia. Like, oh yeah, it's cool, but at some point you age out and you don't talk about it anymore. It's cute and fun to play. I still like Minecraft, but I
love Minecraft.
But he won't touch a Fortnite. Like he would have when he was 13, but at some point, like,
Yep.
I'm not doing that.
I run the
I won't
Fortnite
touch a Fortnite because I suck.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm tired of getting hunted by children.
Yeah, they're really good. But I run Fortnite Fridays, right? I teach at a high school, so that age group, and I see that all the time. And I take into account, like I log what grade levels are participating every week. It is heavily freshmen, some sophomores, maybe 1 or 2 seniors.
Yeah.
And every time, like, you know, they say, Miss Giannis, what do you do with esports? What are you doing? Right. And I say, okay, well, right now we're just online. So all we're doing is Fortnite Friday. They're like, oh, call me when you're doing Warzone.
A real game. Yeah.
And
Call of Duty. Yeah.
And I'm like, what is it? Like, I don't understand, but I totally agree. And what happens? Like, what Twitch streamer? Yeah. Yeah. What
wait, we got to tell this because remember, we also do podcast. You're considered a boomer in the Fortnite community as soon as you turn 18.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just dead then. That's it. I'm just dead.
Wow. But here's
I'm
the thing.
Methuselah.
I was going to ask you, Angelique, though, like, well, this is really directed to Angelique. How long have you been doing esports in your school, though? Because, like, for me, if I say, all right, we're going to do Fortnite, I don't care what grade level it is. The fact that I'm bringing gaming to my district, it could be Pong. It wouldn't matter. Oh, we're stopping and we're playing. You're laughing, but it's true. For anybody that's starting a video game program,
it could be anything.
It's something that's different, and they're excited that we get to play because in some districts, we don't have time to play.
Yeah,
you know, James, you talk about you ran my conference to the ground with that, but it's true. It's true. It's very important. So that was a big thing, the importance of play. So that's why, hey, if it means that I don't have to do this and play Fortnite, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So that's why I was asking you, how long have you done it to where they said
3 years? So the entire time I've been in high school. So these kids, right, that are seniors.
So at some point they said Fortnite bye because your program has lasted that long, right?
Yeah, I mean, so like in person, my program was mainly Smash Ultimate because it could house the most amount of kids with the least amount of consoles, right? Like I have 8 kids playing at once. So we didn't play much Fortnite in person, but when we went virtual, Fortnite was the easiest because I could create those custom matches and have 100 people participating. Yeah. It's way harder to run literally any other game in a virtual space. And now we have it's funny that we also brought up Minecraft because that's the 2 things I've been doing: Fortnite, and then we have a Minecraft server because I can house 10,000 people or whatever on it. And still heavily, I mean, I have my kids who are like my ride or dies that have been with me since they were freshmen who are now juniors, and they come every week, and I even have some alumni, but they were people who joined freshman year, and like you were saying, they don't care what we play. I could, we play Tetris. Sometimes we'd have Tetris tournaments and they love it. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because I feel like also if you're breaking into the streaming space, nobody wants to be a kid streamer or a family friendly streamer. I feel like no one really aspires to that. Like the only family-friendly streamer I can think of is Ninja.
But you know what's funny?
And there's that.
Well, he didn't start off that way. But what's funny is I think, like, as someone who does produce family-friendly content, and I would have people drop into my streams and be like, "Wow, you know what? This is refreshing. Like, you're just here, you're having fun, you're playing with your dad. Like, this is a good time." I'm like, "Well, then." What in the heck are you watching? Like, are you stressed out? Or like, are you like, why? Like, I shouldn't be a breath of fresh air. But for a lot of people, my content was that because it was family friendly. We weren't running around swearing. We weren't being overly political. We definitely weren't disrespecting everybody. It was wholesome. It's me and my dad. But people would say that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you go and you look at other content creators and people are actively trying to be shocking or vulgar or like it's like, okay, great, like this is exhausting. I can't watch a lot of it. I've got friends that I can't watch because the bigger their audience grew, the more on they became, and so now it's like watching this production of it's really loud, there's lots of flashing lights, things are popping up at the screen, it's all very produced. And like the genuine nature of the broadcast is just gone. Like it's like, okay, great. It was fun while you were nobody.
I look, everybody's scaring me in the chat now too, because it's like, oh, even Among Us lobbies. It's like, come on.
I know. I'm like,
the reason
wait, what?
why we're in this space is look, because it's so easy. Look, we could walk away. We could throw up our hands and say we don't belong here. But guess what? That's the reason why we have these 20 and 30-year-old jackholes who can't operate in business, can't do things online, are complete a-holes whenever they get into online spaces. Because bring back Club Penguin. Sam, you are a rock star tonight, but now you're just getting sassy. We have to be here. We just have to be. And we have to push back against these things as much as we can. As much as it hurts, as much as we may not want to, we have to be in these spaces. And again, if you guys have not gotten on that Aaron Ashley Simon to upvote me, please do, because I feel so alone in there when I'm posting this stuff and everybody else is like, screw that old guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We got to get all the booze into esports. Come on now. Get these kids out. All right. Final thoughts for tonight. I have one that I want to share because I'm really excited to share it. And I'm just so... When it got announced, I was like, yes, this has scratched every itch that I have. I'm posting a YouTube link. City Skylines, which is one of the most fabulous city creator games. I don't know if you call it a game or a simulator or what. It's just amazing. They're actually now doing videos about the creative process of building cities. And like real cities.
That's really
cool.
I'm
like, this is awesome. I love this. So I just posted the first episode. The episode is only 7.5 minutes long. But if you have not checked out City Skylines, first of all, make sure you have a good computer because it will melt it down. It is not. I'm
out.
Like,
we still need to get your funding source going.
Potato computer.
By the way, if you have Xbox Game Pass, which is not Xbox Game Pass anymore, or is it still? I don't know.
It is. I think it is still, but we're moving to the network soon.
Okay, well, you can through Xbox Game Pass if you have the EA Play Basic. You can get SimCity 2000, SimCity 4, and the new SimCity as well, which is a nice, they're nice city simulators. But City Skylines is like a SimCity on down to like the granular, like you can control people, like get their interest at the house level. So check it out. It's a fantastic simulator, and this Meet the Experts building a city is cool stuff. I highly recommend it. That's my share for this week. Who wants to go next? Anybody? Wow. Bradford is still in shock.
I am still in shock.
Bradford, Winter Soldier.
Oh my gosh.
I'm liking it. I mean, I'm not liking it, but I'm also liking it.
I love it. I love it. Well, then this will be my final thought. It's a different take. So like I said in the beginning, don't go in expecting WandaVision because you're not going to get a WandaVision, but it's very relevant to what we are going through right now. I did not see that coming. I sit there with my son and I'm always going,
It's
really
Marvel.
Really?
What it is.
It's very normal. Yeah. Like you can see this happening now, aside from all the superhero tricks and all that stuff. It was very like, okay, he's not getting any type of respect. And when what's his name? Pulls him aside in the very beginning and goes, dude, really you're gonna give it up? He's trying to tell him like you shouldn't have given up. And I'm not talking about Bucky. I'm talking about what's his name?
Falcon.
No.
Is it Sam?
It is Sam, but the other dude. In the very beginning.
Yeah.
Iron Man's friend.
The Colonel. Yeah.
War Machine.
Yeah.
He was hinting like, dude, like, real talk, like.
Yeah.
But see, y'all got me on my soapbox. Damn it.
It's supposed to be a final thought, but your final thought is soapbox.
It was final, but like, there was an undertone that Falcon wasn't saying that Black men could relate to. Taking on that role as a Black man is a lot, and And I'm only saying that as a sub. I'm not representing all black men. Let me make that clear. But
you are not a monolith.
I'm not. But having that shield takes on a lot of responsibility. And if you mess up, it's not the shield, it's not the position. It's sometimes it's the person of color that they look at. And I have been in that experience before. So I know that's why he did it. But War Machine is like, you really need to take a look at this again. That's what he was hinting at. So if you haven't seen it yet, anybody that's in the chat, it's very good. It hits home with a lot of stuff, not just about people of color, but other things too.
All right. Wow. That's a really good one, actually. I love your final thought. I never thought of it that way. I'm just like, dude, this show's awesome.
Like me and my son, we just like,
And like in the mental health, like perspective
that
too.
I love too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we should all just watch this together because Angelique, you look lost. You don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. No. Yeah. I mean, you know me and TV.
You finished WandaVision though, right, Angelique?
I passively watched it. Yes.
Girl, conduct cut.
I did not do all the I did not do all the research that you know. But I did pay attention to the billboards after.
I told you didn't have. I told you didn't have to do the research though.
You
have a conduct cut. Go to the principal's office.
Oh, dang it!
I'm calling your mom.
Ooh, shoot.
Suspended.
All right, Angelique. I guess you get to give your final thought now that you're suspended.
Now that I'm suspended, see you guys in 2 weeks. How long is my suspension? Do I have to go to Saturday school?
Yes.
Oh,
that's where you're going to watch all these shows.
Saturday school is worse for the teachers.
We don't have that anymore, thank God.
Thank God.
What's my final thought? There was a lot of information happening today. I don't know.
Something about being back in school?
I know, that's my final thought. You know, I just finished my first week back in school, and while it was different and while it was weird, it was like, I finally feel like a teacher again. Like, I got to see kids, and I got to talk to them, and I just, you know, all of them were just like, I'm just so happy I'm here. And it was just so nice to just be around kids for the first time in over a year, and get to meet all these kids that are just black boxes on my Zoom. And it really just, you know, my fire was just barely, it was burning out. We were real close.
Yeah.
And now I feel good. I feel good. Feels good. So that's all.
All right.
That's
nice
awesome.
being back. It's nice being back, but in a safe way. Very safe way. Not 100%.
Carrie?
I think like tonight is a good example of the different voices that exist within the esports and gaming community. We all have different perspectives. We all have different experiences. I'm currently pumping out news stories, a hand over fist, that I'm pulling from the community to throw out on the K-12 esports news site. I would love to start to be able to publish stuff from the community specifically. So like if you're a female teacher, or you've been active in the community, or you're an individual of color, or you've got experience with ageism in esports in some capacity, things that we have been through and we've dealt with, or even, you know, James is running this tournament, like that information is useful and helpful, but what you've done and what you're learning is useful. So if you guys have these tidbits that you've pulled from your time in the industry, send them my way. Write something up. We've got a submissions page on the K-12 Esports News website. I would love to start having the voices of the actual educators featured in the news stories that I put out every day. So, you know, take a minute, throw something together, send it my way. Like it's a platform. Our voices are powerful, especially if your voice is not the majority voice. Like people need to see that. Seeing that and reading it is what makes certain people go, oh, I never looked at it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good one tonight. I know we went long, but and you know what I'm going to do? So this again, if you're catching this late, you can rewatch this on LinkedIn. You can download this as a podcast. I'll have the audio up here just as soon as the show's over. I don't do a whole lot of elaborate show notes because I can't keep notes during this show. And I'm also going to post the video up to eFuse. So if people want to see it on eFuse, they can go to eFuse and see it there. So, hey, I'm trying to get us out everywhere because all these ideas, I think there are more people who need to see them, hear them, especially, like I said, if you all want to check out that Aaron Ashley post and help push back a little bit because or just don't, but just be aware of what people are thinking, please check it out. And, that'll do it for tonight. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back again next week. There's a whole other week. We'll be deeper into April. It will not be. You'll be into pea soup weather, Carrie, and
and Angelique. And Angelique.
And Angelique. Correct. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.